My name is Mark Robinson. Thanks to everybody for coming this morning to the press conference on LD 1063. And the senators are not going to be able to join us this morning. But with that, I'd like to introduce Representative Sarah Gideon.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Representative Sarah Gideon, the Assistant House Democratic Leader and sponsor of LD 1063. I want to thank you all for joining us today to hear about this bipartisan measure and how it advances broadband's key role in our economic success. I also want to thank all the folks behind me here who represent business and industry in the state of Maine and who have worked tirelessly to help us move to a different place economically and with broadband in our state. So in the 21st century economy, and especially in a large and sparsely populated state like Maine, functional infrastructure that works both now and into the future is simply essential for our economic success. We compete in a global economy, and what that means is goods and services and talent and capital can flow anywhere, across state lines and across international lines as well. And because of that, high-speed, wide-capacity, and ubiquitous broadband networks are absolutely essential for economic growth in this state and for job creation as well. In the simplest of terms, broadband is a fast internet connection that is always on. It allows any one of us to connect to the global economy instantly. But right now, only 20% of the state's addresses have access to broadband speeds that meet the state's minimum definition of broadband. Why does that matter? Because slow speeds make it incredibly difficult for Mainers to work remotely, to upload to the cloud, for an architect, for example, to share files with an engineer, or for a medical technician to send x-rays to a doctor in another city. Too often, we talk about the internet only as if we were consumers. But the truth is this: our future and the build-out of broadband infrastructure with high upload and download speeds are intricately tied together. If we want to compete in the global economy, we need to think about how we use that infrastructure to become a producer, an exporter, a revenue generator. Because with universal access to true broadband, Maine businesses, no matter where they are located, will be able to deliver the world over. And when that happens, we finally have the opportunity to cross the great social and geographical divide that has existed between rural Maine and the more populated urban centers of Maine. We have the opportunity to create one vibrant economic engine. Think of this legislation we introduced today as a foundation for the whole state. What we do is we zoom down to the local level to begin building broadband infrastructure from the ground up. Region by region, town by town, in the woods, by the lakes, in the islands. By reorienting ConnectME, the authority tasked with overseeing Maine's broadband build-out, we create a mechanism for planning and building. Funded through matching grants, the authority partners with municipalities to identify their existing broadband resources, to determine present and future broadband needs, and finally to craft and to execute a plan for build-out. Regional solutions will be encouraged, and shared successes will be used as models to replicate. We have great minds in this state. We have talent and we have a work ethic that keeps us on the cutting edge of great innovation. But we need something basic to surge ahead, to create good jobs with strong wages no matter where in this state you work. We need a 21st century infrastructure solution. Because the equation is simple. Continued investment in broadband will lead to an acceleration of economic benefit for our state. I thank you for listening, and I'm pleased to introduce to you Rick Bates. He's the town manager from Rockport, who has had great success, and I'm excited to hear what he has to say. Thank you.
Thank you. As you heard, my name is Rick Bates. I'm the town manager of Rockport, Maine, and Maine's high-tech harbor. I believe that for us to build the next decades of economic security in Maine, we have to think big, really big. Our world is changing faster than any of us can imagine. All of the old rules of economic development are going out the window. We have seen a dramatic shift in the way people work. Senator King said it best when he said, "The internet allows people to work where they live rather than live where they work," freeing us of geography. We would be hard-pressed to find better quality of life than in Maine. The key is in making it so that people can work from this beautiful place we all call home. Internet access is critical, not just fast internet, but blazing fast internet. Mediocre is not good enough for us to be competitive in the global marketplace. Maine Media Workshop was able to stay in Rockport and be competitive in the digital world because of the fiber we installed. Fiber was essential to their future because the work they do is so data-driven. Today, cameras and other media are being developed that will need all of the gig service they currently have. Dream Local, a Rockland marketing and social media company, is thriving and doing business not just in Maine, but all over the country. They chose their location specifically because of the proximity to the three-ring binder and high-speed fiber backbone. Rockport has gained national attention for our dark fiber model and the first in the state. It provides internet access at my desk of not 25, not 50, not 100, but gigabit speed. The latest test at my computer produced about 800 megabits per second of download and upload speed. I'm not a technology guru, but I don't have to be. This is not a technology issue, this is a public policy issue. The key to bringing real change to Maine's internet is not to settle for a small incremental change. Thinking on a small scale at this critical time will lead to disastrous results, leaving us behind the rest of the country and the rest of the world. In Rockport, our select board is committed to taking bold steps. We have started planning now to expand our network to every business and every resident in Rockport. We are not thinking if, we are thinking when. Rockport is also a founding partner of Next Century Cities, a national organization that has grown from our original 30 members to over 80 and growing every week. Members of this organization include Chattanooga and Wilson, South Carolina, who were the subject of a recent FCC ruling, and cities like Portland, the other one, Boston, Palo Alto, both Kansas cities, Santa Monica, and Little Rockport, Maine. Santa Monica is now providing a city-owned 100 gig network. I'm going to say that again. Santa Monica is providing 100 gig service to their businesses. 1 gig of service was not enough to keep up with the businesses that are in Santa Monica. These leaders in broadband delivery are not thinking small. They are pushing the limits to provide gig service to their business and residents. If we have any hope of being competitive in the global market, we have to take bold action now. We need to start moving and providing the tools necessary to get the job done. The legislation we will be speaking about today is an excellent start for us to do that. Now I want to take a minute and introduce Danny Sullivan from Cooper, Maine. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Dan Sullivan. I'm from Cooper, Maine. I'm the IT manager up at Woodland Pulp and now being built St. Croix Tissue up in Baileyville. Back in 2009, Domtar used to own our mill. They closed it, much like Bucks was closed, putting 350 people out of work. Early 2010, we had an owner come up, decide to purchase the mill, which they did. They then invested millions and millions of dollars in the mill, connecting it to the natural gas line, improving efficiencies throughout the mill, hiring people. They just told us less than a year ago, now they're going to put an additional $120 million in. They're going to build 2 tissue machines, employing another 80 people. Now in eastern Maine, Washington County, the poorest county in this state, we have an employer who's now going to have over 400 high-paying jobs with insurance, benefits, 401k plans, all that stuff. And I don't know how well this will work here, but I just thought I would show a visual of what is going on at the St. Croix Tissue right now. You're seeing structural steel being put up. Now prior to this, we've seen just digging holes and putting cement in, but now they're putting structural steel. So this project is ongoing. We're going to be selling tissue by December 2015. But more importantly, that structural steel, what that does, that shows an anchor. It shows an anchor to our teachers, our students, our elderly, our healthcare, our policemen. It shows that there's a company that's committed to investing in Eastern Maine. These people are here to stay. They're here to hire people that are going to pay taxes, they're going to buy cars, they're going to come to Portland, and they're going to spend money all over the state. What management tells me is that there is such a huge need for broadband, and I know it as the IT manager. Our system, we run a 24/7, 365 operation. This business never shuts down. Our sales team works across time zones across the entire world. So 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon make no difference to us. It shows you the global economy that's taking place. That's just our sales force. Now we have our logistics team. They manage ships, they manage rail, they manage trucks, getting our products worldwide, bringing our raw materials in. We're now getting our wood coming from all over inside Woodland on rail. Our workers, the biggest problem we have now is these workers need to support the mill. They need to be able to connect, and they can't. We can't connect remotely. We need to be able to get a hold of an engineer at 11 o'clock at night. My IT department gets called constantly. We have a problem, Danny, because the little lady has to go out. Can't get it. I go down to my computer, I try to connect. Sometimes I get in, sometimes I don't get in. In our area, we have who does have access, which is not everybody by any stretch. We have DSL, we have cable, and line of sight wireless. Totally inadequate for what has to happen to support this mill. Management is telling me that. When we hire new workers, the first thing they say to me is there's nothing better than this wireless signal or satellite. I can't work. They're crying out for this coalition to do this, and this is the most energy I've seen in the 6 years that I've been working at this, and it's great. The people that are behind me and some in front of me are working hard to make this happen. And I think we need to keep this going. Bills like this are a good piece of that. So, anyway, I'd like to close. There's a lot more I could say. My wife right here, she can say, Danny, it's time you're done. Our vice president of our organization asked me, he gave me a statement. And in his statement, he said, notwithstanding the direct needs of our business for high-speed connectivity to the global business world, our ability to recruit professionals such as engineers and operation managers was adversely impacted by lack of broadband availability for use in the homes. This is also true for our hourly labor force. Superior broadband service is not only a competitive advantage, it is a basic requisite for sustaining our business. That last line hits it. It's a basic requisite for sustaining our business. You want that place to stay in business, you want to keep hiring people, and I suspect they're going to hire more. They're on a roll. I've got to wire them up. Thank you very much, and I'd like to introduce Paige Clayson from Marlboro.
Good morning. I'm Paige Clayson, coming to you from the small town of Islesboro, Maine.
If you'll allow me to indulge me for just a second, Paige's story this morning is almost emblematic of the internet problem, although his was a transportation problem. First boat off of Islesboro was canceled this morning, so Paige had to use his American ingenuity to find it.
So yes, I'm from the small island community of Islesboro, and it's, like many rural towns in Maine, Islesboro is facing the challenge of maintaining a strong year-round community. We see that we need reliable, robust internet access as it's become as critical as roads and electricity for us. Our people, we feel, deserve equal opportunity to participate in business, education, entertainment, communication, and telemedicine activities that are rapidly evolving on the internet. And broadband access provides a bridge to these global opportunities for us. It makes it so much more available to us than other things that our small island community can't provide on its own. Equally important, broadband access helps our community attract young families we need to keep the community vital. And currently, some of our residents, they're relying on the internet access for doing things such as selling rare books or selling handmade craft items and artwork. And others are remotely recruiting employees for major corporations. Some are training family therapists through webcasting. Some are selling audio recording services. But some of these folks have to take turns accessing the internet while they're trying to work. One home worker explained how she could use her video chats for these interviews, but she couldn't use the audio portion, so she needed to use a phone service because there was insufficient access. And in addition, we have problems with our students. Not all of them are able to do their homework from home. They have to go somewhere else to work on the internet. So in Islesboro, we self-funded a study, such as those that LD 1063 will enable. Through this study, we learned it would take a substantial investment from our own community, take a substantial investment from a relatively small population to gain broadband access sufficient for many consumption and employment activities that we want to participate in. Our broadband working group found that building a network capable of serving the needs of our people now and well into the future was the best balance, as opposed to just patching the system and moving forward in small steps. We found a municipal network to be our only practical way to have competitive services that would be equally available to anyone desiring it on our island. The folks at the ConnectME Authority have been very helpful to us on our journey. Unfortunately, though, funding levels and current rules have prevented us from qualifying for any ConnectME grants. We feel Maine communities need better support than that. And ConnectME is a proven organization deserving of the proposed reforms and the funding empowering them to better serve our state. We hope LD 1063 passes, strengthening and accelerating the ConnectME Authority's ability to facilitate universal broadband internet access.
Any questions? Question banks.
I've got a couple. I guess Representative Gideon or whoever else would answer. First of all, how much money does ConnectME Authority receive now? Are you proposing any increase in that? And is there enough money to just actually get more money?
Thank you, Don. I'll answer that. So the way we fund this, right now, ConnectME Authority is funded through a surcharge on people's telephone bills, their cable bills. When ConnectME was set up and when that funding mechanism was set up, it was decided that the wireless providers, it would be voluntary for them to pay into the fund. What we suggest in this bill is that the word voluntary goes away because in our modern world, mobile broadband data is equally as much a part of broadband. And so that's how we do it. We estimate that the funding will be, that by adding that funding in, it would create a fund of about $2 million annually. Now, that being said, we also suggest to the Energy Utilities Technology Committee that part of what they need to look at as they look at this bill is what funding, what exact dollar amount is the right amount. We don't try to prescribe that. It might be less in this bill. It might be the whole amount. And so the second part of your question, Don, was is that an adequate amount? We believe it is. We estimate that 35 to 50 communities might be able to receive planning grants per year, according to this. And to go a little bit deeper, the reason why we think that planning is the right way to go is because when executed all the way to the finish, we're really able to see where the gaps will still exist in terms of funding. So what we try to do through this process is help communities understand, help communities bring together private partners, help them get federal funding, any grants that may exist. And at the end of the year, for example, we'll know, what gap we weren't able to close. Does anyone else want to answer that as well?
Was that sufficient?
It sounds like some of your speakers are saying a whole lot more than that is needed, and very quickly.
Yeah. So my name is Fletcher Kittredge, and I'm from GWI. There are 35 bills in front of the legislature for broadband. There is a coalescence around this particular one because this is seen as the best first step. And what it does is really set the foundation for if more money is needed later, that Maine will be able to make the right choices. The ConnectME Authority was set up under different circumstances 10 years ago to administer a small amount of money, basically about $1 million a year. And it needs more in terms of resources, and it needs a reorganization to be able to be, I hope, the channel for more money if it's necessary. This is a delicate dance. It's a big job. It's probably in the single-digit billions of dollars to get it done. And we're going to need everybody, including private companies such as Time Warner and Fairpoint and the TAM members and people like that to do it. You don't want to make the wrong choices and drive out anyone, because you're probably going to need municipal broadband. You're going to need all those providers to do it with private money. The model we've had for other things is in the really rural areas, there has to be government subsidy because there just isn't a business plan. But ultimately, there will be some areas where it makes sort of more sense to get the private money, and you want to get that balance right. We don't have as much money as necessary as a state to make stupid choices, and you need to get the strength to ConnectME Authority so it has the staff and funding to help make the right choices.
So, total working question, but I mean, you talked a little bit about recalibrating what ConnectME Authority does with this bill. What are they doing currently now that's sort of not meeting the demands of the state are needed?
Sure. Well, right now, so first of all, I just want to congratulate ConnectME because they've done an incredible job today. They have fulfilled the mission that they were set up with. They are on the 9th round of grants to go the last mile in communities. So, for example, in an area where right now private industry is just not sort of getting down the road to individual homes, there are these grant processes, and they help companies get to that last mile. That's what they do now. What we're trying to do is to say, okay, we have had success in sort of the big, broad paint strokes in the state and internet broadband penetration. But we've got all of these little pockets, and they're very difficult to get to. And how can we really help municipalities or regions or groups of like-minded people come together and have a chance to figure out what exists already? Because sometimes there is cable in the ground or fiber in the ground that communities don't know about. Where do they want to be? What, in terms of economic development, is their plan, and what do they need? And then how do they get there? And so that's the difference.
And is this geared specifically towards the sort of municipal broadband plans that we've heard about, or will this also be accessed by the big companies like Time Warner to help them expand too?
So we do not try to prescribe in this bill what the ultimate outcome is. What we try to do is create a mechanism for places to figure out what their needs are and how to get there. And then what we hope for is that every municipality or region is able to figure out how they want to do it, and private companies are able to come in and say, hey, we want to be part of the solution. It's sort of, we think, really just, it pushes everyone to get to places where they might not be already. So municipal broadband, could it be an option? It could. But private companies coming in where they haven't already, absolutely that could happen too.
I'd like to add something. As important as this broadband issue is, and it is extremely important, it's important that we get it right. When we build these networks, we've got to build them. This is, as Fletcher mentioned, it could be $1 billion project. We need to build something we know is going to be in place 100 years from now. And that all comes down to fiber. That's the bottom line. Anybody who knows me, that's the only word I know. But the bottom line to all of this is if we spend this money, we're able to marshal all of these forces and actually get something done. To just work with the Time Warners, with the Fairpoints, to extend their copper networks is not going to help us. We have got to do these networks right. And this is an opportunity to do both.
Representative, a quick question, political question here. I believe Mr. Gifford said, or maybe you said, this is, your bill is sort of being looked at as the best compromise. That's my words, I think, not yours. But do you expect a lot of these other bills to just disappear, or yours will be the one that the committee and the legislature settles on?
So thanks for that question, Don. And that was Mr. Gifford who said that this coalition had really coalesced around this bill as a vehicle. And I think because it does take us back to that planning step to figure out what we need and to do things systematically, and hopefully to encourage private money going into solutions first. In terms of what the committee will do, it would be a little premature for me to say. I do expect, as is usually the process, that the committee will narrow down to one bill. Given that there's a lot of support for it, it definitely could be this one, but it probably wouldn't be fair to me to say that it will be. And I would also just want to add, Senator Mason and I, who Senator Mason is the Republican leader in the Senate, have really worked very closely on this bill, believe in it very much together, and really think that this is not an issue that divides Republicans and Democrats, but instead that really brings us together. Any other questions?